It's just wrong. It's just objectively wrong, which is another perfect example of don't take gun advice or gun law advice from cops. They don't know shit. They don't know shit. They know how to arrest you. They know the laws that they need to know in order to arrest you. Ghost guns. A plague sweeping the nation, according to the mainstream media. Today, we're going to be talking about how one man lived many people's dreams with his Breaking Bad style ghost gun operation, or so the media is portraying it as such. There's a whole lot of interesting things going on in this video, a lot of lies, a lot of misinformation, and I just kind of wanted to break it down. We're going to be doing a little reaction video, watching this news report, and then dissecting what's actually going on. You're going to learn a little things, you might laugh at a few points. All in all, if you enjoy this kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. If you happen to live in the Southern California area, check out Route 66 Shooting Sports Park down in San Bernardino, California. If you don't live in that area, still check out their training section. They have their own classes, as well as they also host a lot of very high quality instructors that don't come to California all that often, and when they do, tends to be there.
Escondido police are sharing the details of a major ghost gun bust. They say they discovered a ghost gun manufacturing lab inside an RV on a neighborhood street after a routine traffic stop led to a search warrant. NBC7's Kelvin Henry has details.
Ghost gun manufacturing lab. Now, when you hear that, what do you think? You hear things like operation, lab, a man. They are portraying this as a man who is producing firearms in mass. It's going to get a little silly in a second when we show you what he actually was producing, what he was in possession of, and what his crimes actually were.
The ease in which people can make these ghost guns with simple everyday parts is what's catching the police's attention, and now they say this is the first time they've seen an operation like this in the regular neighborhood street in Escondido.
Regular neighborhood street ghost gun operation. Sounds incredibly scary, right? This is happening right in your own backyard. That's what they're telling you. That's what they're portraying is going on. And they like to talk about how the ease of manufacture with simple everyday parts. Okay, yeah, if you consider 99% of a firearm normal everyday parts, yeah, these guns that were printed that we're going to see, like most 3D printed firearms, are simply printing the frame or receiver of the firearm, the thing that is considered the gun. Everything else is mostly unregulated. There are certain configurations that you cannot assemble in the state of California, but most of those parts, even if you couldn't legally assemble them into a gun, or would have a difficult time finding a way to legally assemble them into a complete gun, the parts themselves are not illegal by any means and not dangerous. Even if you assemble them, these features are not necessarily more or less dangerous, and these firearms are not just something that a random junkhead is going to be able to scrounge up like some sort of Fallout game.
Very eye-opening.
I know you hate when I pause too often, but very eye-opening. This just in, police learn that guns are in the hands of private citizens. Yes, you heard it here first, folks. People own firearms.
The lead up to the discovery of weapons all started on Friday evening.
One of our night shift officers was on patrol, and while he was patrolling, he watched a vehicle do a vehicle code violation, stopped the car for the vehicle code violation, and as he was talking to the driver, realized that he had some more things going on, went over to the passengers, and when he went to go speak to one of the passengers, they tried to flee.
Escondido police arrested 20-year-old Jace Tornio, and he had a homemade rifle on him.
Something that maybe your father never told you or you never learned from anyone else. Now, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, but if you're going to be breaking the law and in possession of firearms that you shouldn't have, drive the speed limit, make sure your taillights work, that kind of thing. Break one law at a time. Again, not a lawyer, not legal advice. All of this, if we look at his actual crimes up until this point, what he did was he was a passenger in a vehicle in possession of a firearm that he should not have had, according to the government. You know, he did not create any victim. Maybe if the guy that was driving was speeding, maybe that potentially puts someone in danger and creates an actual victim, and then there's an actual crime. But as of now, this guy, the only crimes that he committed, or allegedly committed, since I guess that's what you're supposed to say when someone hasn't been, actually ruled on or anything like that. The only crimes he's committed, allegedly, are possession of firearms that the government has said that you should not have. That's it. No victim yet. They're not saying that he's a criminal. They're not saying that he is some gangbanger. They're not saying he's involved in a drug operation. They're not saying he's beaten his wife. They're not saying he's mentally insane. Simply possessing a firearm. Now notice they said that they found him in possession of a rifle. That photo that they showed of the AK-looking pistol is a Crossman BB gun. Because showing someone a variety of photos of mostly broken 3D printed firearms isn't very scary. So you throw the AK BB gun that he had, and now that is what they're going to be portraying as the rifle he was in possession of. Interestingly enough, we don't actually see any photos of in the press release of the actual rifle that he was ever in possession of. That was initially the cause of him then choosing to flee, which, running from the police, not a good idea, usually. It's just probably not a good idea.
Escondido police obtained a search warrant and executed a search which turned up an assortment of weapon-making materials.
The officers found 2 3D printers, some SD cards, some automatic sears, which are those Glock switches I was talking about. I think they found over 10 of those, 12 pistol lowers, 3 rifle lowers, 1 completed firearm that had been completely manufactured off of the 3D printer.
They found a couple 3D printers, some SD cards, the basics of being able to 3D print anything. Obviously, 3D printer, SD cards, so you can go on your computer, mess with the files, plug them into your printer, print it out. They mention a fully 3D printed firearm, a fully assembled 3D printed firearm, one of them. The photo that the news media chose to run or zoom in on when they're saying that is, again, a Crossman BB gun. The firearm, the fully completed firearm that they actually are talking about, is the white Glock that you see in the upper left-hand corner, which is mostly absent from many of this news media reporting, which is interesting. They talk about how they had 12 or something like that pistol lowers. These are all broken. This guy is being portrayed as a mass producer of firearms. Yes, he had a couple of Glock switches. From what I've heard, the Glock printed switches don't really work. And based on the amount of failed prints that this guy has, meaning the almost completely assortment of various broken, failed, terrible, terrible prints, I'm going to bet that even the fully assembled firearm wouldn't work. I'm just going to go out on a limb and just say that that gun is probably not going to work. If you've printed firearms, chances are you've ran into some troubleshooting errors when it comes to printing, and it's very difficult. So you're going to have a whole lot of destroyed or have to destroy a lot if you're just trying to troubleshoot your prints without doing test prints and that kind of thing. The magazines that they are showing look like garbage. I would never put one of these magazines that he printed, maybe one of them. Maybe 1 or 2 of them look decent and workable, but you can't see the insides. I'm willing to bet that the insides look like just hot garbage. This guy is in possession of a bunch of broken troubleshooting prints and 1 complete firearm, as well as some auto sears. Now, again, who is his victim in this crime that he's being accused of? Who is actually being victimized? Who is being hurt by this? They haven't said that he's done anything, or that he's planned anything, or that he's a conspirator in any major crime. It's simply just possessing firearms that they don't want him to have.
19 rounds of 9mm ammunition and 9 3D printed magazines.
19 rounds of 9mm ammunition. They found 19 rounds of ammo. That's like 2 rounds per mag. Assuming all those mags work, that's so much. That is a stockpile of ammunition. That's really worth noting. It's really worth noting that he had 19 rounds. I own pistol mags that hold more than 19 rounds in one magazine. Quite the dangerous person we have here.
Getting people to follow the legal process after making these firearms is a problem.
Unserialized guns could pose a problem to everyone because they're unserialized. The idea is that when they print these guns, they have 10 days to register them, and the registration is the big thing.
These unserialized firearms are a problem because they're unserialized and the registration is the big thing. I own a lot of guns with serial numbers. What makes those more dangerous than if the serial numbers are not on there? When you shoot a gun, the serial number doesn't magically get transported to the police. A serial number is only useful to track who last purchased it. A serial number is not that difficult to remove. Registration does not help if the firearm is not recovered at the scene of the crime. Now, I'm not a criminal. I don't know much about crime when it comes to committing murders with firearms. However, I would think that if someone is going to shoot someone, they would probably not leave that gun conveniently at the scene of the crime if they knew it could be traced to them. But I'm not a criminal, so maybe I'm just thinking wrong. But it's interesting how she says that registration is what you're supposed to do when you do this. That's wrong. In the state of California, you cannot. She is putting out bad information because chances are someone's going to hear that and think, oh, I could 3D print my gun and then register it with the state within 10 days? Okay, cool. No, you cannot do that. In the state of California, you used to be able to manufacture as a non-FFL, as a non-federally licensed manufacturer. You used to be able to 3D print a firearm if you put a massive chunk of metal in it. The process takes a very long time. The process is very annoying. The process is very difficult. The state took over a year and a half to process my paperwork, and they only processed it, in my opinion, because I had a court date set up challenging the handgun roster. But me and I think 2 other people in the state of California have legally 3D printed a firearm. Because of that, the California Department of Justice changed the law so that you cannot at all 3D print a firearm in the state of California. You cannot legally do it. This lady is saying you can. This lady is saying that you have to do it and then within 10 days get it registered with the state. It's just wrong. It's just objectively wrong, which is another perfect example of don't take gun advice or gun law advice from cops. They don't know shit. They don't know shit. They know how to arrest you. They know the laws that they need to know in order to arrest you. They don't know firearms laws, clearly.
A local gun shop owner says that's why he doesn't like selling the materials needed to assemble a homemade gun, especially when the P80 kits weren't required to be registered with a federal firearms license.
Since the state of California required serial numbers that you have to apply with the state of California to get, you have not been able to build a P80. There has been no legal process to do so, and them saying that you could is just wrong. There was no legal process to do so because the state does not allow it, because they don't know what they're saying when they ask for these laws, because they wanted a massive chunk of metal to be put into the firearm. Let's talk about why that is. The federal government has the Undetectable Firearms Act, meaning that if a firearm were to go through a metal detector, it has to be as detectable as a 3.7 ounce piece of 17-4 pH stainless steel. Basically what it means is that if you pass this gun that is made of plastic, or the firearm part is made of plastic, the gun going through a metal detector has to be detected. That's generally what that means. The state of California, in their infinite wisdom, said any person that is not a federally licensed manufacturer, if you want to make a polymer framed firearm, it has to have a single piece of 17-4 pH stainless steel weighing over 3.7 ounces embedded into the frame or receiver of the gun. That is a big chunk of metal. It's not small, as evidenced by my 3D printed Glock that I had to do. You can't do that with a P80. It's just not possible. There is no way to do a P80 in the state of California and has not been for a long time.
We were never comfortable selling the 80%ers because you never know where they're going to end up.
Unlike a P80, unlike an 80%er, this guy knows exactly where every single one of the guns he sells is going to go. He knows none of them are going to be used in crimes. He knows he's never sold to someone doing a straw purchase. He knows that the gun is never going to get stolen and then used in a crime. He knows that the gun is never going to be reported stolen and then sold to somebody. He knows where all those guns are. He knows exactly where they are. P80s, on the other hand, oh man, There's no GPS tracking system in the gun. Nobody knows where it is. I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, but by saying maybe what he is saying is being taken out of context. So keep in mind, if you are a gun store owner or if you're anyone speaking to the press when it comes to this kind of thing, they're going to take a small clip of what you said and use it to fit in wherever they want to put it, even if it's not necessarily accurately reflecting how you feel about something. Just keep that in mind.
The problem is clear.
We don't want guns in the hands of people that are going to do the wrong things with them.
This is what I want to end on. This guy, what did he do? Who is this guy? Has he committed crimes in the past? Is he a violent person? Is he a conspirator in some sort of big organization? Is he a gangbanger? Is he selling drugs? Is he beating his wife? Is he doing something crazy? Is he mentally insane? Should he be in an institution? Should he be in jail? What crime did he commit? Who are his victims? Why should this guy not be able to own certain firearms is the question that I'm asking you and everyone. Think about it. What is it that he did that was dangerous? Who is the victim here? What crimes were committed where someone is hurt by simply possessing a firearm and 19 rounds of ammunition? Oh, and a BB gun. Don't forget about the BB gun. Let me know what you guys think down below. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.